Have you ever sat down to a comforting meal, only to later wonder if something on your plate might be quietly fueling a disease you fear the most? Imagine this. You're eating breakfast, a slice of toast, maybe some bacon on the side. Harmless, right? But what if I told you that this everyday routine, the foods we trust and love, could be secretly feeding cancer cells in your body? And not just in theory, but in ways that science now backs with chilling certainty. Today, on Daily Elder Advice, we're pulling back the curtain on a topic that deserves far more attention: the foods that might be sabotaging your health from within. And more importantly, what you can do starting right now to take back control. This video is not about fear. It's about empowerment through knowledge, grounded in research, real-life experiences, and practical steps. Because after 60, every bite matters, not just for your body, but for the legacy of health and wisdom you pass on. Let me share with you the story of Leonard, an 82-year-old grandfather who believed he was eating healthy. It wasn't until a simple diet change that everything shifted. So stay with us, because this isn't just about avoiding 5 harmful foods. It's about understanding what really feeds cancer and reclaiming the power to nourish life instead. When we think of cancer, most of us imagine something genetic, something random. Maybe we picture a disease passed down from our parents, a dark twist of fate, or something that just happens as we age. But what if that story is incomplete? In recent decades, a quiet revolution in medical science has exposed a truth many still don't fully grasp: that cancer isn't only caused by genes or bad luck. More often than not, it's deeply connected to what we do every day, particularly what we eat. And for millions of older adults, this realization comes far too late. Let me tell you about Mrs. Florence, a 74-year-old woman I met during the community health workshop. She was vibrant, humorous, the kind of person who lit up a room. But for years, she'd been struggling with chronic fatigue, unexplained weight gain, and gut discomfort. When she was diagnosed with stage 2 colon cancer, the news shattered her. She asked her doctor, "But I've always eaten normally. Nothing fancy. Just what I've always had." And therein lies the problem. We don't see the danger in normal anymore, because normal has changed and not for the better. Back in the 1950s and 60s, food was simple. Eggs came from your neighbor's hens. Bread was made at home. Meat was fresh, not vacuum-packed with chemicals. But today, our meals are industrialized, designed more for shelf life than for human life. Packaged meats, vegetable oils, white bread, sugary snacks, they become staples, especially in senior households. Why? Because they're cheap, convenient, and familiar. But here's the unsettling part. Some of these foods actively create the perfect conditions for cancer cells to grow. We now know that excess body fat, especially around the organs, creates inflammation. That inflammation feeds cancer. High insulin levels, driven by sugar and refined carbs, act like a super fertilizer for cancer cells. And many so-called harmless foods introduce carcinogens directly into the body. It's not about paranoia. It's about patterns and choosing not to ignore the warning signs. Before we dive into the 5 worst foods, you might be wondering, is it too late for me? Absolutely not. Thousands of seniors have reversed inflammation, lowered their cancer risk, and improved their energy and strength just by changing a few key foods. But this isn't about going vegan or spending hours in the kitchen. It's about knowing what to remove and what to replace. You deserve to know what foods quietly feed disease, so you can stop letting them into your body and start choosing foods that defend it. Up next, we'll look at the first and most shocking culprit, a food so common that it's likely in your fridge right now, and yet it's been classified by the World Health Organization as a Group 1 carcinogen. And the worst part, it's marketed as convenient and high in protein, especially to older adults. Let's expose the truth. The first villain: processed proteins, a slow poison masquerading as food. Let's begin with a food that many of us grew up with, a food that's been served at breakfast tables for generations: It smells delicious. It sizzles in the pan. It's even considered a treat. I'm talking about processed meats, bacon, sausages, ham, hot dogs, deli meats, and more. We're not just talking about a small risk here. According to the World Health Organization, these foods are officially classified as Group 1 carcinogens, the same category as asbestos and tobacco. And yet, millions of older adults eat them every single day. Processed proteins aren't dangerous simply because they're meat. They're dangerous because of how they're made. When meat is cured, smoked, or preserved, it's often treated with nitrates and nitrites, chemicals that prevent spoilage and give deli meats their pink color. But here's what most people don't know. These chemicals can transform inside your body into nitrosamines, which are powerful carcinogens. Especially when cooked at high temperatures like grilling, frying, or roasting, they mutate and become more toxic. Imagine this: you're biting into what looks like a simple slice of ham or a hot dog, but you're also ingesting a chemical cocktail your body was never meant to process. How processed meats fuel cancer. Dr. Jason Fung, along with many researchers, has shown that processed meats do more than just raise cancer risk. They actually create the perfect biological environment for cancer to grow. Here's how. 1. They trigger chronic inflammation. These meats flood your body with harmful compounds that irritate your cells over and over again. 2. They alter your hormones. The additives and preservatives can interfere with your body's natural hormone balance, a huge issue especially for postmenopausal women, where estrogen levels are already shifting. 3. They damage DNA. Nitrosamines don't just cause general inflammation, they go right to your DNA, damaging the very blueprint of your cells. 4. They spike insulin. Many processed meats are also high in sodium and hidden sugars, which can lead to insulin resistance, creating a fertile ground for cancer cells to thrive. Let me tell you the story of Henry, a 78-year-old retired carpenter from Oregon. For most of his life, Henry was active, healthy, and independent. But after his wife passed away, he started leaning heavily on easy meals: sandwiches with ham, microwavable bacon, quick sausage links. Cooking for one doesn't feel worth the effort. He once told me, over time, he began to experience digestive discomfort, fatigue, and unexplained weight loss. A colonoscopy later revealed early-stage colorectal cancer. When Henry was told about the link between processed meats and colon cancer, he was stunned. "I thought I was just eating like I always had," he said, and that's the danger. Processed proteins don't feel threatening. They're familiar. But the truth? Just 2 slices of bacon per day increases colon cancer risk by 18%. That's the equivalent of 1 sandwich. Thankfully, there are plenty of safe, satisfying, and delicious alternatives to processed meats. Here's what Dr. Fung and countless functional medicine experts recommend for seniors. Grass-fed or pasture-raised meats. These contain higher levels of anti-inflammatory omega-3s. No harmful additives, antibiotics, or synthetic hormones. Wild-caught fish, especially salmon, sardines, and mackerel. High in DHA and EPA. Omega-3s that protect against inflammation and cellular damage. Excellent for heart, brain, and immune health. Organic poultry, skinless chicken or turkey. Lean sources of protein with minimal saturated fat. Easy to digest, especially for seniors with slower metabolism. Plant-based proteins, lentils, chickpeas, black beans, edamame. Packed with fiber, antioxidants, and anti-cancer nutrients. Nuts and seeds, almonds, chia, walnuts, flaxseed, rich in healthy fats and protective plant compounds. Processed meats are not harmless traditions. They are metabolic landmines, especially after 60, when our bodies become more sensitive to inflammation and insulin imbalances. Removing these foods can dramatically improve our odds of staying cancer-free. Make the switch, not just for your health, but for your independence, your energy, your future. And before we move on to the next chapter, let me gently remind you, if you found even one useful insight so far, there's so much more still to come. In the second half of this video, we'll talk about how eggs affect your blood sugar, your heart, your physical strength, and even the science behind why they might help you live longer. If you're enjoying this journey, please take a second to click the subscribe button. It means the world to us, and it helps more people like you discover life-changing, age-wise advice. And I'd love to hear from you. What's one thing you've learned so far that surprised you? Leave a comment below with the number of the chapter that resonated most. Let's keep learning from one another. The second villain, processed fats, the silent saboteur in your kitchen. If processed meats are the visible villains on your plate, then processed fats are the ones lurking quietly in your pantry, wearing disguises like vegetable oil, heart-healthy margarine, or light salad dressing. They're silent, they're slick, and they're everywhere. But make no mistake, these seemingly harmless cooking staples could be waking up tumors, accelerating inflammation, and breaking down your body's defenses one meal at a time. For years, seniors were told to avoid fat at all costs. Fat makes you fat, they said. So we swapped butter for margarine, olive oil for canola, lard for corn oil, and we thought we were doing the right thing. But here's the twist. Many of these highly processed vegetable oils are rich in omega-6 polyunsaturated fats. When consumed in excess, becomes dangerously inflammatory. While our bodies need some omega-6, the modern Western diet is overflowing with them, especially in older adults who eat pre-packaged, ready-to-fry, or processed foods. The result? A perfect storm of chronic inflammation, oxidative stress, and cellular damage, all which create fertile ground for cancer cells to grow and multiply. When these fats are heated during deep frying, sautéing, or even light pan cooking, they undergo oxidation, releasing free radicals. These free radicals damage DNA, accelerate cellular aging, create unstable environments inside the body, disrupt normal cell signaling, making it harder for the body to identify and destroy abnormal or precancerous cells. One of the most alarming findings? Free radicals from oxidized oils can actually weaken your immune system, making it easier for early-stage tumors to grow undetected. How your cooking oil may be fueling cancer. Inflammation is like a low-grade fire burning inside your body. You don't feel it, not at first. But over time, it burns through your defenses, weakens your tissues, and creates the exact conditions that cancer cells thrive in. And processed fats, like those found in corn oil, soybean oil, canola oil, sunflower oil, vegetable shortening, or the matchsticks. They contain high levels of linoleic acid, which, when overconsumed, triggers pro-inflammatory pathways that disrupt hormone balance, impair insulin signaling, promote angiogenesis, the growth of new blood vessels feeding tumors. What you should use instead? The healthy fat upgrade. The goal isn't to eliminate all fats. You need fats to build hormones, support brain health, and regulate your metabolism. But you need the right kinds. Extra virgin olive oil, rich in monounsaturated fats, contains oleocanthal, a powerful anti-inflammatory compound. Helps lower cancer risk, especially in the breast and colon. Use it for salad dressings, low-heat cooking, dipping. Avocado oil, stable at high temperatures, packed with lutein and vitamin E. Protects cells from oxidative damage. Use it for sautéing, stir-frying, roasting. Omega-3 fats, salmon, sardines, mackerel, chia seeds, flax seeds, walnuts. Anti-inflammatory, support immune surveillance. Real butter or ghee in moderation. Natural, unprocessed fats. Contain butyrate, a short-chain fatty acid linked to colon health. Safer for cooking than margarine or hydrogenated spreads. The oils we use every day to cook, to dress salads, to flavor food, have an invisible power. They either create a body where cancer thrives, or a body where cancer struggles to survive. And that choice is entirely in your hands. Even something as small as the oil in your frying pan can shape your health trajectory in profound ways. The third villain, sugar. The sweet assassin hiding in plain sight. Sugar is not just a treat. For many older adults, it's a trap. A sweet-tasting, culturally accepted, emotionally comforting trap, one that cancer cells crave. Why sugar doesn't seem like the enemy? We rarely think of sugar as dangerous. It's not greasy. It's not spoiled. It doesn't smell bad. In fact, it's often wrapped in ribbons, shared at birthdays, given with love. But sugar doesn't need to look evil to be deadly. Inside your body, sugar does two things very well. One, it spikes insulin, the hormone that tells your body to store energy. Two, it feeds cells indiscriminately, good and bad. And if there are cancer cells already forming in your body, like tiny rebels in the shadows, sugar becomes their banquet. But it's not just sugar that's the problem. It's what sugar makes your body do. Every time you eat sugar, your body releases insulin to manage your blood sugar levels. But insulin is more than just a regulator, it's also a growth hormone. That's right. Insulin doesn't just help store sugar, it tells cells to grow. Now here's the kicker. Cancer cells have more insulin receptors than regular cells. So when insulin floods your system after a sugary meal, cancer cells react like flowers to sunlight. They bloom, they spread, they multiply, and the cycle continues. The hard science behind the sweet danger. Study after study has confirmed it. People with type 2 diabetes, who often have chronically high insulin, have significantly higher cancer risk. Obesity, driven largely by sugar and refined carbs, is now linked to at least 14 types of cancer, including breast, colon, pancreas, uterus, liver. And yet, seniors are told, have some pudding, drink orange juice to stay strong, enjoy dessert, life's too short. But what if that advice is costing us more than we realize? Where sugar hides. Sugar isn't always in candy or cake. For seniors, it hides in so-called health foods. Instant oatmeal packets, flavored yogurt, low-fat granola, salad dressings, crackers. You may think, I don't eat dessert. But the truth? Most seniors are consuming hidden sugar 5 to 7 times per day. And every spike in insulin is another opportunity for cancer to grow bolder. Sugar is addictive. It triggers dopamine, the pleasure neurotransmitter. So cutting it out isn't just a health decision. It's an emotional one. But the good news is, you can reclaim control without giving up joy. Start here. Swap jam for smashed berries and chia seeds. Use stevia or monk fruit instead of white sugar. Replace sweetened yogurt with plain Greek yogurt and cinnamon. Drink herbal teas with a hint of orange peel or licorice root instead of sugary drinks. Embrace fat and fiber. They reduce sugar cravings naturally. And remember, the first week is the hardest. After that, your taste buds reset and the freedom is worth it. What happens in your body when you stop sugar? In just 30 days of reducing sugar and insulin spikes, you may notice less brain fog, more energy in the morning, less belly fat, fewer cravings, better sleep, lower inflammation, and yes, lower cancer risk. You're not starving your joy, you're starving cancer. Every time you reach for something sweet, ask not what it costs in money but what it costs in longevity. Because aging well is not just about adding years to your life. It's about adding life to your years. The fourth villain: high-glycemic foods that secretly fuel cancer. Not all sugar is sweet, and not all danger wears a warning label. For many older adults, some of the most dangerous foods for cancer don't taste sugary at all. They're soft, familiar, and often seen as comforting staples: white bread, instant rice, crackers, mashed potatoes, or a bowl of creamy pasta. But beneath the surface, these seemingly innocent choices act just like sugar once inside your body. These are what we call high-glycemic foods, carbohydrates that break down rapidly during digestion, causing a swift spike in blood glucose levels. And when your blood sugar spikes, your body responds by flooding itself with insulin, the hormone that helps shuttle glucose into your cells. As we've already learned, insulin is not just a blood sugar regulator, it's also a powerful growth signal. And cancer cells are wired to love insulin. They have more insulin receptors than healthy cells and soak up that signal like fertilizer on weeds. When insulin is chronically elevated, especially in people over 60 who often have slower metabolisms, less muscle mass, and greater insulin resistance, the internal environment shifts in favor of tumor growth. This is not theoretical. It's been backed by decades of research. Studies have shown that diets high in glycemic load are associated with an increased risk of breast cancer in postmenopausal women, colorectal cancer in men and women, and pancreatic cancer. The reason? Every time you eat a high glycemic food, you don't just feed yourself. You may be feeding cancer cells. Over time, these repeated spikes wear down your insulin sensitivity, promote chronic inflammation, and reduce your body's ability to identify and destroy abnormal cells. Take the story of Thomas, a 68-year-old retired principal. He didn't eat candy or drink soda, but he had a daily routine of white rice, spaghetti, and toast. After his diagnosis of early-stage pancreatic cancer, his doctor told him, "It's not just about avoiding sugar, it's about avoiding foods that act like sugar." Thomas began making simple changes. He replaced white rice with quinoa, added vegetables to every meal, and switched to whole oats for breakfast. He even started walking after dinner. His energy returned, his digestion improved, and remarkably, his cancer remained stable for years. He often said, "Changing what I ate gave me back time with my family." This isn't about fear, it's about awareness. And once you know the truth about high glycemic foods, you'll never look at them the same way. These foods include not just white bread and rice, but also instant oatmeal, rice cakes, crackers, white potatoes, cornflakes, and even healthy-looking granola bars. Many are marketed as low-fat or light, but the moment they hit your bloodstream, they act as pure sugar. The solution isn't to cut all carbs. It's to choose smarter ones. Whole grains like quinoa, barley, steel-cut oats, and buckwheat digest slowly and release glucose steadily. Vegetables like sweet potatoes, broccoli, and carrots provide nutrients without blood sugar spikes. Even fruits, when eaten whole and with fiber, behave more gently in your system than a piece of white toast. If you must eat carbohydrates, combine them with healthy fats and fiber. A slice of sourdough with avocado is far better than plain toast. Add olive oil to roasted vegetables. Sprinkle chia or flax on oatmeal. And remember, a 10-minute walk after meals can significantly reduce your post-meal blood sugar, a habit that protects your brain, your heart, and yes, even reduces cancer risk. The bottom line? High glycemic foods are often comfort foods, but they come at a high cost, especially in the later decades of life when your body is less forgiving. This is the time to be intentional. Your body no longer bounces back like it used to, but it still responds incredibly to care, nourishment, and wise choices. Every time you reduce a blood sugar spike, you reduce the fuel for potential tumor growth. And that's a win you can control, starting with your very next meal. As we've explored in this video, cancer isn't just about bad luck, or genes, or age. It's about the environment we create inside our bodies every single day. And that environment is shaped more than anything else by what we choose to put on our plates. Processed meats, inflammatory oils, refined sugar, high-glycemic foods. They may be familiar, they may be cheap, they may even bring us emotional comfort. But beneath the surface, they carry a cost that most of us never see until it's too late. The good news is, you are not powerless. Your health is not fixed. Your story is not over. Whether you're 60, 70, or 85, every meal is an opportunity to choose differently. To stop feeding cancer and start feeding resilience, clarity, and strength. Maybe you can't change the past, but you can change what's in your kitchen. You can change your breakfast tomorrow. You can change the story your body tells, beginning with your next bite. Because when you say no to the foods that feed cancer, you say yes to life. You say yes to your grandchildren's birthdays, to peaceful mornings, to energy that lasts through the afternoon, to dignity, independence, and health that doesn't just last longer, it feels better. So here's our final invitation from Daily Elder Advice. Revisit your pantry. Rethink your habits. Reclaim your power. And if this video gave you something valuable, pass it on. Share it with someone you love. Leave a comment below. I choose to nourish life. Subscribe for more life-saving, life-giving insights every week. Your health is not a burden. It's a legacy. Let's protect it, together, one meal at a time.